Hello, I'm Seafood Source editor Sean Murphy. We're here in Boston again, and today Ali Hall delivered the keynote speech talking about the generational differences in the corporate world. But we wanted to talk a little bit about how that matters in the seafood industry, and we're here with the co-presidents of the 2014 National Fisheries Institute's Future Leaders class. We're here with Doug Aikman. You're the sales director for Stavis Seafoods, Doug. And we also have Kelly Korkowski with us, the other co-president, who's the associate with Maritime Products International.
Yes, sir.
Got that right. There we go. Okay. And Doug, we were just talking about, right before you got on camera, about the differences in generations. Tell me about that story you were just saying.
Well, it's just an observation I made at the chowder party last night. I was attending with one of our younger generation salespeople, and he commented to me that his observation of the group at the chowder party, he said the older crowd definitely outnumbered the younger crowd.
What do you think, Ellie? Are you seeing that too? Do you think that's happening?
Yeah, and well, I think we have a good, I'm still a rookie in the industry. You know, I've been in here about 2 years now, and I think we just have a great upcoming class. I think the business is we're all so passionate about the industry. It's such a cool industry. Mm-hmm. So I think we all, being the young buck, I think we have a lot of ideas and a lot of, want to really get that momentum that the older generation has been, passed down to us. So.
And then we're talking a lot about how communication is an issue too. There are different methods of communication. Some people insist on the old, pencil and paper and telephone. Some people have to email. Some people have to use instant messaging, Twitter. I mean, Doug, what do you think about that? Is that an obstacle, or do you think you're working through it?
Well, I think in sales you establish whatever means of communication works. Mm-hmm. Some of the older generation might tend to use the telephone as their means of communication, and others might use email. But it's whatever you're comfortable with.
As long as you're making the sale, it doesn't matter how it's happening.
That's right.
All right. What do you think? Is it the same issue?
I do and I don't. I think that at the end of the day, this industry is still a very people-oriented industry, and it's all about relationships, right? So if that's, it's how well you know your customers. It's all about, that personal feel. Mm-hmm. So I think, and I'm a little bit old-fashioned maybe for my generation, but I still think, if you can hold a conversation, look me in the eye at the end of the day, that's the way to go. If we can talk on the phone, whatever's easy, it's a circus, right? We're all running all over the place all the time, but I think at the end of the day, it's whatever is the best way to establish that relationship with your people and customers, and that's what makes the industry so great. So,
what do you think seafood companies should worry about the most with regard to generations? Is there anything in particular you should watch out for as you get these newer generations coming in?
That's a tough one. I think it is only because there's so much to learn, and seafood is just, it's not like a cut of beef where there's 5 different cuts of beef and that's about it, right? I mean, seafood spans all over the globe. There's so many different species, so I think it's just trying to really get the next generation passionate about it and to really learn from the older generation. You guys have been around longer and you know what you're doing, so we're here to learn, and we want to, sort of pass the torch a little bit. So.
And Doug, do you think the communication lines are open for that? Do you think that the old generation is comfortable trying to learn, school the new generation?
I believe so, yes. The concern I would have is in our industry recruiting that young talent into it.
But once they're there, you find they're open enough to learning, and the older generation is open enough to bringing it down?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it sounds like as long as you pay attention and maintain that person-to-person contact, then it sounds like generational issues aren't going to be that much of a problem.
No. I don't think, and you have to be a sponge, right? Yeah. There's always so much information all over the place. You got to just embrace it, and you got to, there's so many. We're all still learning, right? Doug, you're still learning, and you've been in the business a while, right?
Yep.
So it's every day's different, and it's constantly changing, and you got to just kind of roll with it a little bit. So.
You agree with that?
I do.
You do. See that? Yeah. That's the last word. Okay.
Future Leaders out.
There you go. All right. The co-presidents of the 2014 Future Leaders Group, thanks very much for you guys for your insights on that. Keep watching Seafood Source. It is your media source for full coverage of Seafood Expo North America 2015. Coming to you from Boston, I'm Sean Murphy for Seafood Source.